Oh, I forgot my thing. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing, pre-cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Beelzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another heavy metal mother episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 439, recorded Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. Tonight we're talking about another Patreon pick chosen by your boy Brandon. The movie is Hellbender. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy Randeezy. What's up?
Randy! What's going on, my blurred? You holding it together down there?
I'm a blurred. Yeah. Holding it down.
Blurred.
In the underground. I'm looking.
Hmm?
I'm looking. What am I looking
Okay,
at?
this is not working. Let's just take it from the top.
Next up!
Bob, welcome to my show, and tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Bob, and I'm holding it down in the underground. And I can't wait to rock out with all you mother truckers here tonight. But first, we have more people to introduce. Next up, calling in from South Korea, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy Pud Rock Stains. Exclusively listen to Pud Rock.
That's sticking around, huh?
Oh yeah.
We're not tossing that into the waste bin of history.
Oh no, it's relevant, you know. Reference Nothing But Trouble episode. Always remember.
Bringing it back.
You guys ever been a juggalo? Any of you ever been a juggalo?
The Gathering of the Juggalos? No, but I hear it's much better organized than Burning Man.
The
so
Burning Man?
Yeah.
A little bit safer at the old juggalo.
Yeah.
I would feel safer there around the people
Absolutely.
and the environment.
Woot, woot. You know?
There you go.
They're less likely to, fucking come after your bank accounts and shit.
Last but not least, making her triumphant return to the Straight Chilling podcast. Everybody, welcome back, Caitlin. What's up, Caitlin?
Hey, I'm excited to be here.
Welcome back.
Thanks for
Oh
sitting
my
in with
goodness,
us.
thank you. Soju in the Forks,
Don't touch
Washington
that dog.
Twilight background right now.
Oh yeah, got to keep it spooky, mystic, mysterious.
You're in Bucks, Washington.
Forks, Washington.
Damn.
Holy shit.
I'm certain there's a fan fiction out there already, but I would love for you to write another one.
Oh yeah, I'm
You know,
working on my
I
fan
have to-
fiction these days.
Fan
Yeah, we
fictions
know.
all are remarkably the same and feature characters that could be interspliced with anybody. So Twilight, put them in there.
I
There
just
you
the
go.
back.
Edward walked in. Oh, hey, guy.
Oh hey.
I can see his nipple. Does he know? Probably, but I'm not sure. Should I bring attention to it? Maybe. I don't know. It's sparkling like a diamond.
Look, on one of the last episodes of Skin of a Killer, we talked about Edward's cum gutters and his hard nipples. So we're
There you
not
go.
totally off base.
Guzzle
the gator
cum.
Bomb?
Oh,
Hey, Caitlin, you've got a podcast of your own, or two actually. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find your shows?
sure. So I do a feminist horror podcast called Plug It Up, which is about the monstrous feminine, and that comes out every Tuesday. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find me at Plug It Up Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And then, as mentioned, I do Skin of a Killer, acronym SOAK. It's actually Tit Soak. This is the Skin of a Killer. So we do our little Twilight podcast, which is like a Twilight shit posting show. and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, I thought it was about Mormon sexual practices.
It is. It is because
Oh,
Stephanie
okay.
Meyer was Mormon when she wrote the books, and when you read it through
Oh.
that lens, you can see
Oh,
Well,
Quite a
yeah.
there
few,
you go.
quite a few
Makes
soap
sense.
adjacent references. But
Check us out at
What's
Jump
going
Hump
on,
Pod.
children?
you know what's funny is I
Uh,
work so
Soap.
hard on Plug It Up, and I definitely spend way more time doing it. But I think Skin of a Killer is the better podcast. It's so stupid. We have the best time.
Hell yeah. Sometimes it works out that way. Check out Caitlin's podcasts everywhere you get your podcasts. Let's tackle a little bit of housekeeping real quick. So this is a new month. That means we got a brand new poll rolling out. Our October poll is currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get a chance to vote on 3 movies we're talking about this October. So we're doing something similar as what we did last year. So every October, we usually do like a big mega-sized episode where it's like a triple feature. We review 3 movies. And on this poll, Randy, Juice, and myself, we each chose 3 movies that are connected by a theme, and you guys are voting on the theme alone. And then whichever one wins, then you'll find out what the 3 movies are that we're going to be reviewing for that episode. And the 3 themes are It's Alive, Dark Worlds, and Slime Time.
Whoa, Bob, how those numbers looking?
Dark World was ahead. It's
Oh shit! Really?
beating out It's Alive.
Nobody said anything but positive things about Slime Time that I've seen so far, so I'm very surprised.
Well, Dark World is definitely ahead, just a couple votes ahead of It's Alive. Nobody gives a shit about Slime Time. That's for
All
sure.
those people were lying to you, Randy.
Yeah, I don't.
We're gonna
Dude, what
vote
the
for
fuck?
Slime.
There was like, oh, I really think I might vote for Slime. Like, yeah, this is the
Nobody
non-committal
did.
tone that I just can't pick up on, I guess.
To be
Caitlin,
fair,
you're a
I
Slime
think
Time
the-
person, right? Right?
I'm all about slime time. Does this include society? That's pretty slimy.
No telling.
We
Who can
can't
say?
say. We
Let's
can't
say
can
say.
Brett. Yeah.
No snitching.
Yeah. So, to be fair, I'm pretty sure the librarian was the only one who mentioned that. So, they might have gone the other way on that.
The only one that matters.
Their vote counts for
cool.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we all know this. That's how democracy works in our world.
Around here, around these parts, sure is.
Means big money.
Weighted voting. Yeah, get your votes in before the end of September, and we'll see what movies we're talking about this October. We are also releasing a minicast every Friday in the month of September. Last Friday, we dropped a minicast on Perpetrator, which is a new Shudder movie. It just came out last Friday. And this coming Friday, the 8th, we're going to be dropping another minicast talking about The Blackening.
Bob, that's you talking about The Blackening. I still got to catch that.
That's
That's
you
me.
did that.
You
did
it.
Bob.
It's
That's
me.
your episode. Good job, guy. Good
contributed.
job. Oh, you did.
Oh, hey.
Bob, give us a little sneak preview.
Yeah, it's very much a horror comedy, heavy on the comedy for sure, and it's got some like really solid jokes. Actually, I was surprised at how hard it had me laughing. There's a lot of great comedic actors in it. There's some slashery type stuff. It's very much like a cabin in the woods sort of movie, and they gather around and start playing this fucked up board game, and a killer comes out of the shadows and starts picking them off one by one. I dug it pretty well, but yeah, check out the minicast and hear all of my thoughts on it.
Does it have any particular seasonal vibes? Like, should I wait until Christmas?
Does
to
it
watch
feature even
or-
the slightest hint of a fir tree?
It is a Juneteenth movie. It is a
Oh,
holiday
okay.
movie. It's a
Oh, I didn't know
Juneteenth
that.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you missed it.
Yeah.
You missed the
I'll have
window.
to wait till
but-
next year.
You gotta wait.
We know
now.
we know how you do Juneteenth up big. You got to do it right.
Classic Korea. Huge Juneteenth
Oh
celebration.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw them in
Everybody
theaters though. It was so
knows.
cute.
Yeah, it's a fun one. What else we got? Speaking of Patreon, we got a brand new Patreon supporter we got to give mad shout outs to. Big thanks to Ashley B for signing up on Patreon and showing us some love. Every dollar you guys contribute goes right back into the show, and it really does mean a lot to us. Helps us keep the show rolling. As a tradition around these here parts, we owe you the straight chilling salute. This one goes out to Ashley B.
Slap my ass.
Do you think after our like 500th episode, we can make a fun little like new salute instead of like the military salute. We can do like a slap, slap, slap.
You just-
Hmm.
You wanna-
Something like that.
You want to do a full song and dance?
Just throwing it out there.
I'm
I'm an ideas man.
an idea.
No.
Now go do my ideas.
Yeah, you
Go,
execute.
go forth.
New idea now. More Patreon shit. So we're going to be reopening the You Pick the Flick tier for the fourth quarter of the year on Sunday, September 17th. That's the only way for you guys to outright pick a movie for us to review on the show. There's only 5 spots per quarter, and they usually go pretty quickly. So we're going to open the tier at an undisclosed time of day, Sunday, September 17th. You're just going to have to randomly check our Patreon website, and if the tier's open, go ahead and grab a spot. And good luck to all of you. The last
of
picks
2023, man. We're just burning through this year.
About to do a reset, people. All you folks who burned through your picks, it's
Mhm.
coming.
Yeah. Holy shit. This is the last bit of Patreon news I have. So we're doing another Chilloween party. This is going to be our 3rd year running the Chilloween party. It's just a Zoom hangout in which we play some trivia, we watch a movie, and we encourage everybody to dress up in a Halloween costume as well, because we all vote on the costumes, and whoever wins the best costume of the night gets a really
A
dope
firm
prize.
pat on the fanny.
And not
Extra
a pat on the fanny.
firm.
No, not
A
just
digital
real loose,
pat.
soggy slap on the
Ooh.
fanny.
Someone's
Soggy
Soggy
upgrading.
slap on the fanny is
I
different.
think you have downgraded significantly.
Also,
Not willing to pay
fanny-
for the firmness.
Fanny.
Didn't you recall last week from someone in the UK? Fanny means something different over
Oh, it
there. So a
does.
soggy fanny slap
Yeah.
is gonna sound.
Yeah, so does
quite
the F slur. We're not
obscene.
taking notes from them.
I mean,
If he gets promised a soggy fanny slap from Goddess Bob, then you're gonna have to deliver. So
Oh,
I'm a goddess of my word. So the Chilloween party is going to be happening Friday, October 13th at 9 Eastern. So mark your calendars, come hang out with us, and that's for Patreon subscribers only. But it's at any tier, so you can contribute as low as just $1, and you'll be very welcome to come hang out with us on Friday, October 13th. There
Ooh,
you
that's a very auspicious day around here.
It is.
Purely and simply evil.
It's not often we get a Friday the 13th in October. Whoa, man.
I know.
And we're celebrating
Cool.
with Chilloween.
that's right. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It is. Yeah, it definitely is. Luckily, they had to move that Exorcist movie from Friday the 13th to the 6th or whatever.
Oh, we're going to be competing with Taylor Swift, boys. Ooh, I don't know. We
Swift,
might
yeah.
need to shift as well.
Don't worry.
Oh,
The children
fuck.
outnumber the Swifties by a margin of so
the
many.
children. The last bit I have here, I'm going to be hanging out at Phantasm Orlando Saturday, September 16th, hosting the 35th anniversary panel for Night of the Demons. It's going to be starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There's going to be a large portion of the cast and crew sitting on stage, and I'll be asking them some questions, and we'll be taking some questions from the audience as well. So come hang out with us in Orlando for the Phantasm
I'm
Phantasm
prepared.
Festival. Be prepared. Yeah.
Bob, make sure you get a video of that, so we can put it in our next documentary that we're working on. So, yeah.
Oh
go-
my god.
Oh, are we working on it?
People have been
Are
asking,
we?
where are they now?
I need another hour of behind the scenes video footage.
Yeah, so
From the
just
Straight Showing crew.
make sure you get that all on lockdown, Bob. Get it.
Oh yeah. That's all I got. Do you guys have anything to add?
Oh, that's all? Is that
Never.
all you're done speaking? Okay.
That's it.
Well, I got some things.
Damn.
Next Monday, so by time the next episode comes out, I will have a YouTube exclusive Creature Comforts episode 10 with our boy
shit.
G Baby from Waxing the Porpoise. I made him
The
talk about
baby.
Batman Returns last year, and so I let him pick the flick this time, and he picked The Jacket from 2005, starring Keira Knightley, Chris Christopherson, Adrian Brody. You guys ever
I
seen
was
that
gonna
movie?
say that's the Adrian Brody one, right? I think
Yeah.
I cleaned the theaters for that movie. Maybe.
Oh,
What year was it?
damn, yeah, 2005.
Oh, maybe not. I can't remember exactly what year I was in there, but it
You
was
would have
either
been
that
in
or
high
Skeleton
school.
Key. I get those mixed up.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
don't think I've ever
So
heard of it. I don't know what that shit is.
it was new to me. But it was G Baby knows his hidden gems, and it was an interesting flick. It's got a lot of different kind of genre melding going on there. So a lot of different things. But yeah, that'll be coming out exclusively on our YouTube page. And well, I'm going to be featured on one of the best damn podcasts you'll ever hear. It's called Plug It Up. And, I'm going to be talking with a very special person about a film called Baby Ruby. Caitlin, can you tell us more about that? I actually don't know when it's coming out.
It'll come out either late September or early October. So right.
Okay, all right. Well, it's a little preview there. Okay,
Yeah, a
okay.
little
Build up
preview.
some hype,
Yeah. But
what's the word?
excited.
Okay,
Tell me
cool.
Haven't
what
watched it
happened.
yet, so I don't have a lot of information. But I'm excited to do it. We've been talking about covering Baby Ruby for
Most
like
of
almost
the year,
a year.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
yes,
Cool.
it's coming up.
Cool.
It's probably great. Check it out.
All right, that's all. My house is clean. Randy.
Sweet.
Never anything to clean around these parts. Here we go.
All right.
This house is clean.
Actually, I don't know if Bob was done or not.
Well, there is one final thing we have to do. Let's take a quick timeout and listen to a word from our sponsor.
Gather round, all you ghastly ghouls, and kick off this Halloween season with scary good music and even scarier movies. Monster House Records is a brand new vinyl record retailer specializing in punk rock music and horror movie memorabilia. Located in the heart of Sanford, Florida, they boast a wide array of physical media, including vinyl records, cassette tapes, CDs, VHS, laser disc, and more. You can also find vintage tees, books, and plenty of toys. Come for the music, stay for the chills and thrills. At Monster House Records, be sure to follow them at Monster House ORL or visit them on their website at monsterhouserecords.com.
That Dracula's really playing it loose with the accent. Big the go big.
You really got to tighten that up, Drac. What are you doing? Cool. Yeah, let's get into the main event. We're kicking it off at the back of the box. We're talking about Hellbender.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, do you have this on fire to go big?
I don't think you can buy it anywhere, actually. I think you just got to stream it.
Oh,
There
really?
was a short
Oh.
run of the DVD.
Was there?
We'll talk about it later, but a guy that I used to have a podcast with, Joe, he got to interview them and they talked about the DVD special features, and there was like a very limited run of the DVD, and I do wish I had snagged it.
Well, shit.
Book.
Bob,
Bob, it's
was-
rare. Get it.
Yeah, you just
Bob, come
you just
on.
lit
I'll
you just
pay
lit a fire in
anything.
Bob's soul for fucking physical big.
Shudder usually does put out their original stuff on Blu-ray. So maybe they'll do a larger run eventually. But yeah, Hellbender, it's on Shudder currently. Came out in 2021. I think it hit Shudder in 2022 though. Runtime of an hour and 26 minutes. This is written, directed, and starring the Addams family. There's John Adams, Zelda Adams, Toby Poser, Lulu Adams. It's a literal family with the last name of Adams, and they make films in music and other cool art and shit together, and it's like wholesome and sweet and also kind of spooky and tight. Here's the briefest plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb. A lonely teen discovers her family's ties to witchcraft.
Okay.
That is it.
Short and sweet. Yeah.
Man, it's a
I know
small
this-
box.
This was a big one at Fantasia. Maybe not last year. Either last year or the year before
21.
that. Yeah. So
Strong.
yeah, big in the festival run a couple years ago.
Yeah. Hey, there's also a vinyl for the soundtrack, just FYI.
Oh,
I'm on eBay
that's
for you
cool.
right
Okay.
now, Bob.
I'll pay anything.
We
Wow.
know.
Put anything in my ass. I'm desperate.
Anything. Have you guys seen this movie before, and would you recommend people check it out? Caitlin, why don't you kick us off?
Yes, I have been trying to evangelize people on this movie since I first saw it. I really like this one. I saw it on the festival circuit and saw it when it came to Shudder. And even when it came to Shudder, right as it ended, I hit restart. I really like this one and would recommend people check it out. Cool little indie movie, very cool family. And I think it does a lot on a small budget. So check it out.
Sweet deal. Randeezy, what about you?
First time watch for me. I was not terribly familiar with this. I had to look into it a little bit. And I think I would generally recommend to Horror Hounds for sure. I think there's a real spirit of community in this, even if that community is just mostly the Addams family. But I don't know, there's something about it that's quite charming in that way, in the way it was made and the story behind it, that I think would appeal to a lot of the horror hounds in the world. So generally, yes, to horror fans. I don't know how much further it extends beyond that. Maybe to metalheads and punk rock types and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Sweet deal. Juice, what about you?
I would give a light recommend. This feels like a very youthful kind of movie, a new kind of take, a youthful more kind of take on kind of witches and witch lore and stuff like that. And the filmmaking kind of reflects that. It's a little rougher around the edges, but kind of more run and gun feel, and has a bit more freedom in that as well. So yeah, I don't think it'll have a huge wide appeal, but I think it is definitely it's gonna have its fan, hardcore fans for sure. So yeah, a light recommend. Bob, how about you? Would you recommend people check out Hellbender?
Yeah, I think I'd also give this one a light recommend. I really respect the sort of DIY nature of it, and I love that a family pulled together to make this movie, and they just did it all on their own, on a shoestring budget, in various locations across the country too. During lockdown, they were just said, "Fuck it, let's make a movie." So they did. I love that, and it's dope. I think it's a fun ass watch. If you're into witch stuff, it's on Shudder. It's really easy to come by, so throw it on. I don't think you'll regret
that's
it.
what a boy likes.
What a boy likes. There's a Joe Bob episode on Shudder too, if you want to get his commentary.
Really?
And he interviews the family and stuff in between the scenes. And,
What did he
Give
pair
that a
it with?
watch.
Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Musicals, right? That's what he said. I
some
don't remember what it
musicals.
paired with, but it was a musical night of horror
Oh,
or something
yeah.
like that.
So on that, I'm not usually a big musical kind of guy. I think this is a cool take on it though.
I
A
would
little
not call
spin
this a
on-
musical.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
It's
but, I mean,
debatable.
yeah,
it's
it's
music
kind of
heavy.
a spin on it. Yeah, in
There's
a way.
musical interludes for sure.
Yeah, they
Interludes
involve
in
the
the
main
bands.
characters.
Yeah. I don't know that I would call it a musical either, but I like that the music plays a big part of it. And you can tell
Yeah.
that's also part of what the family does in real life.
Yeah.
And all of that's
Oh,
also
okay.
on
Right.
Spotify. I was like, oh yeah, this is a cool, I forgot there was a really cool album. They did a really cool vinyl pressing. And
Hmm.
I went back and listened to a few of the songs today. Because they have
Cool.
the Hellbender EP and
Mhm.
I don't know. Just what a cool family. They're always making cool stuff together.
Did they record the music as well?
Yes, it's them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. I like
Yeah.
the music. Yeah.
If you want to listen to the band, you got to search Hellbender, where all the E's are 6s.
Yes.
Oh.
Very clever
Okay.
algorithm gaming.
Yes. So yeah, that sounds like a pretty decent recommendation across the board from all four of us. Let's go ahead and drop that spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
Bob, did you type up a plot synopsis?
I did. I got it right here.
Hit me with it.
All right. So this movie opens up with a woman being hanged, shot, and stabbed, but she doesn't die. Instead, she blasts off into the sky in a big old ball of hellfire. We jump forward to present day. We see Izzy living with her mother in a secluded house in the woods. Her mom occasionally goes to town for supplies, but won't let Izzy go with her because she allegedly has X-linked severe combined immunodeficiency disease. Izzy and her mom have a rock band called Hellbender, and they jam out frequently. A lost hiker runs across Izzy in the woods and mentions his niece lives in the area. Mom shows up and escorts him out of the woods. Along the way, she cuts his hand, licks some of his blood, and then dematerializes his ass. Izzy goes for another hike and sees a young girl named Amber chilling by a pool. Amber invites her over. They go for a swim. She then discloses it's not her house. She just sneaks over and uses the pool on occasion. Izzy goes back the next day to swim again with Amber and a couple of her friends. She takes a shot of tequila with a live worm in it and freaks the fuck out. The homeowner shows up and the kids scatter. In a trance-like state, Izzy grabs Amber by the throat in the woods, and Amber says never to come around her again. Mom touches a top-secret book in the attic and has some witchy visions. Izzy ends up doing the same thing. They have a joint dream where Izzy learns the more fear that is in the blood she consumes, the more power she gains. Mom tells Izzy she's not actually sick, she's just really dangerous. Izzy and Mom chill in the woods. They eat caterpillars. They make stick things disappear. They trip balls while eating maggots. They have some more witchy book visions. Mom explains that they are Hellbenders, which is a mix between a witch, a demon, and an apex predator. Izzy has clearly been eating a lot of animals in the woods. They keep finding bones laying around, but she's trying to hide it from her mom. Izzy finds Amber and gives her back a bikini that she borrowed during the summer, as well as some berets that she'd stolen from her. Amber's kind of weirded out and tells her to stay away. Mom becomes suspicious of what's happened to Amber. She investigates a trunk in the basement. She finds a weird fleshy tunnel inside and crawls down it. She finds Amber, who says she can't move her body, and Mom tells Izzy she can't kill Amber. She won't let her. Mom then starts to get scared for her own life. She thinks Izzy's going to eat her, and Izzy says she's not ready to have her own little hellbender. So she lets them both live, asks her mom if she needs anything from town. She asks her daughter to pick up some bass guitar strings, and Izzy blasts the fuck off to go to town, to go shopping. Roll credits.
There you go.
There you go. There. Yeah.
So where do we start with this thing?
The witch rocket thing is kind of hilarious to me. They blast the fuck off.
They do.
It's pretty great. The like effects in this movie in general, I think, are unbelievable considering the shoestring budget they were on. That in particular, like not that in particular, but that scene that you're talking about, where they're blasting off or whatever, it looks pretty good considering like all the limitations. But there's even better shit throughout the movie. The one that really impressed me, and it's probably a real simple effect that I'm just too dumb to know, but it looked so good, was when they would press their hands on that symbol on the door and the key would come out of the back of their hands. I thought that was such a fucking cool set piece. There's a lot of like little things like that just kind of sprinkled throughout, but that was the one that really stuck with me.
Yeah,
what about
there's
you
a
guys?
lot of creativity, like you just mentioned, in the idea of the powers, exploring what these witches are capable of, because they're kind of like fleshing out this lore a little bit. And they kind of go all over the place, but it's one of those things that doesn't feel too, like, oh, they're all powerful or they can do whatever they want or whatever. They kind of, everything has this kind of real life feel to, and not real, but like this idea of this is part of just who they are or how they operate in the world, where the mom, she makes the symbol and she uses that thing to kind of like look for her daughter. She like spits the blood out, or like you said, she puts her hand on the wall, the key comes out. Everything just felt like it had a purpose, not like just people were waving their hands around and crazy shit happened. It felt like the beats of it felt like a real lived in kind of place or world that they were living in. So I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I have so much to say about this movie, so I'll wait until you call on me to give my whole spiel. But
Spiel
I
us.
the effects have been one criticism that I've heard about this movie, and for me, like they're fine. You know, they're doing what they can, and I think that they choose to spend their time and money on effects well, like economically. The key is very cool. I really like when they're kind of tripping together and the mom is sort of like throwing up, it looks like smoke, almost throwing up like symbols in the air. It's like they're laying in the snow together, so it's very, I don't know, very childlike, almost like mom and daughter chilling in the snow. The mom throws up a symbol and Izzy like shoots an arrow through it, and everything her mom makes, like she destroys a little bit. So it's playful, but also there's this theme of this daughter is going to eclipse the mom, and the mom knows that, and you can tell how scared she is of Izzy. There's so much of that in general, but the general shorthand that they're able to work with being real life mother and daughter is awesome. The chemistry is already there and it just works. Like I just think that sets such a nice baseline. And obviously you're not going to get that in every movie because not every movie is made by a family, but the shorthand that they're able to work with in just terms of having chemistry and being able to bounce off each other, especially Toby Poser and Zelda Adams, but inclusive of Lulu, the other daughter who plays Amber, and the dad plays the hiker, and the grandpa is the old man in town. Like it's just all of it just, I don't know, it makes me feel very tender. Like they're such genre fans and they're having so much fun doing this. And the fact that they did this all, I think Randy, you said during lockdown, you know, this was very much a COVID movie, and they're doing it on no money. They're kind of shooting it in isolation. That's one of the themes of the movie, but they're, you know, utilizing the fact that we were all very isolated in that moment of time. You know, when Izzy says like I can't get close to anybody, none of us could at that point, and Amber is like, yeah, none of us can. It's like, yeah, that she doesn't mean just like figuratively, none of us at that point in time. You know, this being very much a movie from COVID, so if you can like put yourself back in that time, especially, you have a really nice appreciation for the messaging that was going on.
That's a good point, because honestly, I didn't really like put the pieces together that this was a COVID movie, you know, like putting like when it came out and stuff like that. But I think they do a good job of it. Doesn't, when I'm watching this now, the fact that that didn't register is perfect, because it doesn't feel like it's trying to be like, COVID, you know, it's just the
Exactly.
beats make sense to the story that's being told, and then in reflection, you'll be like, oh shit, yeah, they, you know, she is in isolation, she is kept away from people, and then you can kind of see the strings of like, yeah, they're just filming in the middle of the woods, they don't have to interact with like a town or anything like that. So it's really smart, but it also doesn't feel heavy-handed. It doesn't feel like this is what you need to be focusing on or whatever. So I really appreciate that, because we've seen some of that, and it just, after COVID's kind of moved on, that doesn't hold up as well when it's like at the forefront of your mind that this is what it's trying to say. So I like that subtlety for sure.
I agree with you. I think that like the main thing that kind of sells it for me, like I didn't really think about it until they were sitting where Zelda was sitting in a circle with the three other kids, and they're clearly spaced out. I was like, okay, yeah, this is definitely a COVID movie. It just didn't really like register until that moment. For whatever reason, that made me realize what it was. But like we've seen at this point, 2-3 years on, a lot of movies that just directly address it and like directly make points and make stands on it or whatever. And I think it's nice to have a movie that just sort of like doesn't ignore it and also doesn't make it the central pivotal piece of the puzzle for themselves. It's nice when a property can split that difference, because it's nice to have a level of escapism that still has that grounding in reality a little bit, I guess, is maybe part of it.
Well, I think isolation in general is a theme that we've had in horror for forever, because isolation is in and of itself scary. And it's a fun theme to work with it. And we explored it a little bit more like heavy-handedly through COVID because we were all experiencing that together. But the fact that this type of isolation can hold up and, you know, be more or less timeless, I think is impressive. And for me personally, like having explored a lot of movies that center on isolation, especially around mother and daughter and this sort of like eclipsing of power, when I think of a movie like Carrie, where, you know, Margaret White, Carrie's mom, is very much isolating her and making her this very, I don't know, sheltered person. It's the same type of vibe, but totally different, because Margaret White is an evangelical crazy person, and the mom here is like a witch, and it's different. Like they're both afraid of power, but in different ways, and they're both exploring it and sort of pushing it away, stuffing it down in different ways. And it's neat to see
Your
that.
mother's a bitch.
It's neat to see that trope come through, but in a way that we don't usually see. We usually see it in the sort of like repressed, like church type of way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, like it's funny that you brought that up, because I did watch the Joe Bob bit on this just like after I watched the movie in its entirety. I did go back and watch Joe Bob's commentary on it and his interview with his family, and he made this a similar comment where he's like, this is like an inverse of Carrie. And I think it doesn't seem like that was like even an intentional thought, maybe based on their response. I'm not sure 100% because I don't know if they directly address it, but they just kind of like naturally fell into this thing where it's like, it's an inversion in that they are, you know, not like what Christians would consider the opposite of Christian, that being, you know, like Wiccan, witch, whatever, but like also beyond that, like supernatural, and also like the isolation is not for her protection but everyone else's, like you said. So like there's something interesting about comparing those two movies that, like, I guess I don't know how how much they actually intended for them to be put on the same playing field, but I don't know, it weirdly inverts that, doesn't it?
Well, it
I
is a
think
weird
so.
and yeah, it's a weird inversion in similar ways. Just even the aspect of, I didn't put this together till we're talking about now, but you know, one of the big things is the mom in Carrie, you know, she is really concerned about like sexual things. Okay. So if we're taking the ideas of Christianity and the rules and regulations that apply and how a parent can like force that onto their child, and it's really restrictive. In this one, it's kind of on a different type of set of rules where it's like, I'm vegetarian, I don't eat meat, you know, and then like, and the meat thing becomes this gateway towards more destruction and more power, in the same way that a Christian family might see sexuality as, oh, if you indulge in that, if you get it, it's this type of
taste.
Become
destruction and
powerful.
Wow.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, and all of us,
That is the thing.
every time I come up on the show, and I always talk about Raw because it's also one of my favorite movies that explores that, but it's the same thing. It's like, you've been trying to tamp this down. The mom in Raw has her daughter be a vegetarian because, spoiler, if she doesn't, she's going to go balls to the wall, kind of like Izzy does here. But it's like that whole idea of like, okay, we're trying to tamp it down. We're trying to control this next generation of person who's going to inherit this legacy of power, and if that power is going to be used for good, which that sort of like good and bad is talked about very explicitly in dialogue in Hellbender, but like, how are you going to use it? What's it going to take? And is the control, like, is it going to work? Like, can you tamp it down? And we find out in a lot of those movies, like Carrie, like Raw, and like Hellbender, you can't. And
Well,
that's one of my favorite tenets of this sort of like monstrous menstruation trope of coming of age and sort of eclipsing, you know, coming into your womanhood and eclipsing maybe a later generation and coming into your power.
That's a really good point about just the control aspect, and in this way, it's kind of interesting because they do want to present it in this more positive light, where the mom is super cool and you can empathize with her a lot more and say like, well, yeah, this girl is dangerous, she's gonna go off. But it's a lot easier to take a movie and see somebody who's repressive sexually, at least like, maybe for us, and say like, that's very toxic, and you know, that's hurting someone, and you should be more open and honest with the people who are you're supposed to love the most and guide them through something, through teaching them and stuff like that. But in this case, it's played more for, you know, like, oh, it's for her own good and it's supposed to be more understanding, but it's equally as destructive. I mean, this person who she only interacts with her mother, and they're supposed to have like this best friend type of relationship, and yet she's completely lying. She is like absolutely lying to her about her condition, about who she is, and trying to control her. And it's not presented as equally toxic as far as like Carrie's mom is. And so I think that's interesting, but also maybe a little problematic, because it's like, is the writing and direction aimed at a way that is supposed to make it more understandable? Like, well, yeah, I mean, you're supposed to empathize with the mom. I mean, see, the girl is dangerous, you should try to control. It's like, I don't know.
The mom is definitely acting out of like selfishness. Like, she knows, as far as I can tell, like the only the only way these hellbenders die is like when they're consumed by their offspring. Like it sort of alludes to, I think,
Yeah.
her killing her mother, and like she knows that Izzy is one day going to kill her. So like if she doesn't know about these powers, she's not going to learn that. She'll be able to go on living her life. I think her mom says she's like 147 years old. So it's like self-preservation, really. Whereas like Carrie, in a very twisted way, Carrie's mother's actually trying to protect her from the world. But like in this way, I think in this movie, the mom's really trying to protect herself from her daughter first and foremost, because she knows nothing's really going to be able to hurt her daughter if she's so powerful.
Yeah.
I think especially on rewatches, I had a lot of sympathy for the mom, especially the nuances of watching Toby Poser act and how scared she is of Izzy. I think it's really good. I also, I don't know, I kind of understand it because she did watch her mom. So the mother character here watched Izzy's grandma, her mother. They said like kill a whole town. Exactly.
Yeah.
So she was like, oh, she tore through a whole town. She decimated like an entire population of like babies or some shit. And hated it, had to sew her mouth shut for the rest of eternity until the mom came through and eclipsed her own mother. So I feel like, you know, she's seen what she interprets as this horrible curse and is trying to protect other people around her, also herself, also Izzy. And then Izzy very much sees it maybe like the grandmother did. You know, at the very end, Izzy's like talking about how excited she is to like have all this power. And the mom's like, it's not a gift, Izzy. And Izzy goes, then why was it given? So I think they just have very different interpretations of what this is, this sort of like Hellbender legacy. And the more that I watch it, the more that I definitely understand what the mom was trying to do in terms of controlling Izzy and keeping this power tamped down. It's not going to work because it never does. That's the trope that it doesn't work, you know. But I appreciate where she's coming from, especially having gotten that backstory of the grandma tearing through town, having to sew her mouth shut to repent for these awful things she did, and the mom sort of saying like, we don't have to be like that. We don't have to be bad. And Izzy leaning into, I guess the bad skips a generation, and Izzy is down for fucking it up.
Well, that's kind of the interesting thing because, and I feel like the very tropey thing to do, and it's understandable on the opposite end of that, when we're kind of comparing these two different ideas of where the control comes from, is a lot of the times, and in the similar sense of Carrie and a lot of other things, is the mom is overprotective because they feel like they were hurt or affected by that type of sexuality where they ended up, you know, hooking up with, or you're sleeping with their high school boyfriend or something like that, getting pregnant very young and feeling like it ruined their lives. And so their whole thing is like, well, I'm going to, raise my daughter up to not ruin her life in the same way that I did. I feel like that's a very common type of trope. So in the same kind of way, it's similar though, I'm looking out for the best interest of my daughter in this super toxic way. But again, it's just kind of coming back to like, it's weird because I didn't consider it before, and now I'm processing it, where it's like this mom is treated in a much more sympathetic way and understanding way than what we typically see of other moms who are overbearing and oppressing the maybe sexual aspects of their daughter's life and growth into womanhood versus what's going on in this film. I find that like really fascinating and interesting, why it seems more acceptable to give this mom a pass, where other moms, it's easy to be like, yeah, she's being a old bitch,
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that like she's I was sympathetic to the mom as well in my watch, and I think it's easier to be sympathetic for somebody whose stated goal is to protect townspeople from being massacred as opposed to stop their teenage daughter from having a boyfriend. Like, I think those are kind of separated by a pretty wide gap. So and like so I think like the sympathy is easy to come by. The sympathy for this mom is easy to come by, but it's also like their relationship is depicted as really positive for the most part of this movie, I felt like, and this is really the only key issue between them, to the point where like they don't even, like, the end of the movie is like more or less just a role reversal, not the expected like destruction of her mother. You know what I mean? And partially that's like she's not ready to be fully grown up, whatever. You can definitely like that's fair, but it feels like there's still love between them. And even like she's like, oh, do you want me to pick anything up? And that's a role reversal moment. But she answers with fucking bass guitar
strings,
chords,
yeah.
bass strings rather, and it's like,
Yeah.
so clearly they plan to go on similarly, if not the same as they were before. So, and I don't know, I felt like really for Toby, what's her name?
Toby Poser.
Poser. Felt like her character, like I was really kind of in her corner for a lot of it. As much as it's tough to see a kid like sort of repressed in some way, the thing she's being repressed from is objectively bad things. Like, and to mine and I think most people's moral standards, it's an acceptable thing to try and keep your child away from doing.
Well, hang on now. I wouldn't go as far as to say that. Now, of course, what she's scared of
What?
is hang on. What she's scared of is, but I mean, so the whole thing is, I mean, she could still raise a daughter that's vegetarian and raise them to be vegetarian. She keeps her in complete isolation. And part of the reason why this spirals out of control is because Izzy has no idea how to interact with people. The mom keeps her completely isolated. But the whole thing that spirals out of control is like you eat meat and then that's where your power comes from. You eat living things specifically. We don't know what happens if she eats a cooked hamburger or something. She's eating like things alive. And so I don't necessarily know if the fear justifies the means that the mom goes to, where she's literally lying to her daughter her entire life about you're sick, you cannot interact with a single person. She murders a man just for the fact that he spoke to her daughter. Like, so she's going as far as to like, I'm worried about you murdering people, so I'm gonna murder this man just on the off chance that maybe one day that you could maybe murder people too because you interacted with this man. Like, I
think the more I watch it, especially like the more I realize like the stakes are really high though. Like she's 147 years old. She goes to town and that old man who is in real life the Addams family grandpa's like, you were my mother's nurse or my grandma's nurse. And she's like,
Nope.
and just like has to sort of shrug that off and walk forward. But it's I think, could she have a normal life in any regard? How old is Izzy? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
is Izzy actually 17 or 18 or whatever she is, or has she been aging in the same way that the mom does? Is she able to have friends? Is she able to go to the pediatrician? There are other factors here that I'm like, yeah, the isolation is rough. And when I watched it for the first time, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, let her have a friend. Let her go to the pool. Let her have pool time with Amber. And then on other rewatches and as the movie goes on, I think Toby Poser's acting is so good, and she's so scared. Like the little sort of like hanging out outside the door, like the like trying to look into like her dreams and sort of see where she is. She is terrified, and that's what gives me sympathy for what the mom has chosen to do, especially having watched her own mother fuck everything up.
I mean, you could have been honest with her and still just fed her salads and grapes or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, she's showing all the
Nobody-
same traits as a typical toxic parent would. She's spying on her. She's lying to her. She's keeping her in isolation.
Eventually, this girl's going to be like 100 years old and still look 25 and like start figuring some shit out, and be like, "Hey, mom, what's the fucking deal?"
let's step back here. Nobody is saying that her like to the extent that she goes to keep this ruse up is inherently good. I'm saying her goal of protecting townsfolk from mass murder of babies and adults alike, net good, even if it means you as a person. Like, this is like, compared to a drug situation, it's not a perfect allegory, but like if you're trying to keep your kids away from drugs, this woman also has a drug problem. She eats her little treats, she does her little trips, she goes out in the woods, she kills this man both out of protection, and she loves it. She clearly loves doing it. So like, she's in recovery, but she's still trying to protect her daughter from this thing that she knows is dangerous to her specifically because of her genetic situation. Like, that's how I kind of see it. It's like, this is not a perfect response to having this issue or having this fear, but it is an informed response to your situation. It's not perfect. It's not great.
That's what they really need.
They need a Pauly Shore movie. That'll save it.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Yes.
You do feel for like the isolation part. It sucks, and you're like, oh, this poor homeschooled kid. Like, get her a friend. But
of course.
I do, and I think you said like there is some camaraderie there and some friendship, and I think the way that they speak to each other, I don't know, it's just so different from any other movie that we see that has this sort of like motherhood and coming of age type of trope where it's very congenial. Like they have a good time. They're playing music together, they write music together, they laugh, they swear with each other, like
Keeping the beat, keeping the beat.
and
Hell yeah.
they like I like that. And I also like that that's very clearly how that family interacts. You know, it's not only is it translating well because it's something different and new that we don't see in the genre that often, but it's translating well because that is their shorthand. That's how they talk to each other. And it sounds naturalistic. Like if someone else had tried to pull that off, I'd be like, okay, try hard. Like, okay, you greedy cunt. Like people don't talk to each other like that. But like, the way they talk to each other like that, I'm like, yeah, I believe this. Like you guys are tripping balls, puking into each other's mouths, and like having a rock and roll time together because you're friends and you kind of have this same general vibe, and it's different and it's cool.
And I
Hell
also
yeah.
think like that's interesting to watch, and maybe it's a little easier to accept also because it's not a relationship you usually see between parents, certainly
Right,
in
yeah.
movies between mothers and daughters. Famously more ladybird than this in almost every movie that they have it. It's a fraught relationship of people. They're very similar, making similar mistakes, trying to prevent it, trying to be their own person, like all these things. And this kind of sidesteps a lot of that, and really the core issue is just the one big lie. Everything else
Right.
about the relationship is copacetic, and I don't know, it's just not like there's something warm about that, and and knowing how this movie was made and how like that they are family and all those things, like it, I don't know, there's something very, very charming about that at its core, and I think that it's largely informed by the production stuff, but not entirely. I think within the movie they make a really strong case for warmth and connection between these people that are ultimately their contrasts are what drive the movie.
Well, I think one of the scenes that best emphasizes that is when Izzy's had her experience at the pool where she eats the worm, she trips, she has all this power, and we know later she kills the owner of the house, but she comes home and she doesn't hide it from her mom because they're friends. Like they like each other. There's not this like this not this need necessarily to hide it. She's like, I ate a worm, a live worm, and her mom's like, okay, where? And she's like, with my
Is
friends,
everyone
and the
okay?
mom's like, is everyone okay? And she's like, and it's like there's not this like sort of like, I hate you, mom, fuck you, mom, like I'm gonna like this is
Yeah.
because you lock me away. It's like, hey, FYI.
Yeah, they really skip the Rapunzelness of it.
They
It's
do, and I
very
think
nice.
that's what makes me endeared to it, and that's why I don't have as much. I'm not caught up on the isolation part as much because I'm like, it's different circumstances, whatever. This mom's doing what she thinks is right. Is it right? Probably not, but I wouldn't know what to fucking do. And I just
I'm
like
not
that
sure
there
how
is
much
so much
better.
love there. You know, it's like,
Mhm.
I ate a worm. I just want to let you know. So
Now, I wanted to bring up something. So this is the first time I'm kind of considering these aspects of the film, but my interpretation seems pretty different than I think Randy brought it up about the ending of the film. I did not get the impression that everything was just going to kind of keep marching on in a similar kind of way. I thought that this was obviously a power shift. The mom is speaking to her from now what could be considered what's going to be her isolation of like not even just the regular house where the girl, Izzy was laying out in the autumn leaves and they're going, the mom's down in a dark flesh pit with a half-eaten corpse, bloodied corpse, and the daughter is inserting her dominance now, but also kind of like reversing it in a sense of, I'm going to keep you alive. But the reason that she gives, not because I love you or not anything like that, is because I'm not ready to have a child and raise my own child. That's the reason she gives, not because I love you so much, mom, or I've forgiven you, mom. I her saying like, do you want anything from town? I saw that as like very sinister, honestly. And I had a completely different interpretation of where the relationship was going to be going forward.
oh yeah, the hammers come down. She's not like the role has totally reversed. And I mean, I think the mom was always so scared of Izzy, and now it's like, yep, every fear that I had about her knowing true power makes sense. And even the way they shoot it, like the mom is sort of filmed lower as if she's a child looking up at her own mom, and Izzy's looking down like she's the parent. So like the roles have reversed entirely, like both in perspective and in sort of figuratively. But it's yeah, I don't know. It's not going to be good from there on out, and I don't think that she's saving her mom. I think Izzy is like drunk on this sort of like, yeah, we're Hellbenders. Fuck yeah. Like, we're going to do whatever we want, Mom. Lean into the legacy. And until Mom gets on board for that, Izzy's going to rule with an iron fist. But I do think that she wants to keep her mom around. A, because she doesn't know how to do all this by herself yet. Her mom teaches her like spells and shit throughout the movie. But also she's not ready to have a bebe.
Well, I mean,
I think her
that's
asking that question, like, do you need anything from town specifically, is not necessarily like sinister, but is there to illustrate the role reversal, because that's what her mother asked at the beginning. So like her going to town, like she can take care of herself. She doesn't need her mom to shop for her. She's gonna do whatever the fuck she wants. I don't know that she's just gonna like go murder the entire town necessarily.
Right.
She's gonna.
I don't think so. I was touching on the impression that I think Randy said, like, oh yeah, she asked for bass string, so it seems like they're gonna keep playing in a band and keep this motherly daughter thing alive.
I think so.
I mean, she kept saying like, Mom, I want to like perform for a crowd. I think that, you know, that will happen. I also, one of my favorite transition of power scenes is so early on when Mom comes back home from the first trip to town and she has that cool, like, goth fucked up crown thing she got at an art shop, and she's going to put it on her own head, and Ezzy's like, cool, and puts it on her head, and I'm just like, yep, that's a good forecast. Schrodinger's crown.
Damn. Well, no, I mean, it's totally fair to say otherwise, but to me, like that, like what Rob said, it's definitely like a twist of the knife a little bit. She's clearly not taking any more bullshit. She's just going to do what she wants to do. If that means murdering people, there's nothing Mom can do about it at this point. And to me, that doesn't necessitate keeping her only friend locked up in a flesh pit. I think she's going to at least live in a like, she's gonna at least keep the mom around. She's gonna at least like be part of each other's lives. And I think asking for those things, both twist the knives and her responding with something mundane like that involves like something that they both love, and her saying, sure, you got it, or whatever she says, I think that speaks to the fact that their relationship isn't over. And especially like in considering like everything else that we've seen in this movie, like when things go sideways, like Caitlin said earlier, like she doesn't like lie about like somebody getting hurt or whatever. She's like forthright about it. I think that they just have a very honest relationship. It's like, yeah, well, I'm in charge now. You can tell because I'm the one going into town now. What do you want? And
but
it's just like, I don't know.
But logically
I don't
speaking,
necessarily see any reason to think that she's going to keep her mom totally dark in a torture chamber.
But if we follow that logic, we know that the mom literally killed her mother because she was doing those things. She felt the obligation to stop her. So do you honestly feel, I mean, because it seems like Izzy's going to do whatever she wants. She's boasting. She's got a dead body. She's eating flesh. She is boasting about being a hellbender and like telling people straight up. Do you really think the mom is going to like be okay with Izzy living this type of lifestyle where she's just eating and causing destruction, and their life is just going to continue on like it was before with Izzy living that lifestyle? I don't think so.
I think
I don't think it's gonna be the same.
Like several times that like spring eats winter, summer eats spring. So it's like regardless of what the mom would want to do, like regardless of whether she would want to kill Izzy like the way she killed her mom, she can't. That's not the way the cycle moves. And the cycle's going to move
days
forward.
Are done.
Yeah, I mean, even if she wanted to, the power has shifted so substantially, and that is the way that the seasons progress, and this is the natural order of things. I think the mom probably is resigned with like, well, to me, probably fucked it up. This is like, here we go.
I think about the people making this movie, and I obviously don't know them or anything, but like to me, it seems like it's clearly a coming of age story. At the end of the movie, the daughter becomes their own person that can't be stopped by whatever qualms the mom has. But the relationship we see throughout the movie is a positive one. I don't think that changes entirely. Like I think that the paradigm shifts, but the love and the affection that's there, I don't think that goes away exactly. Like I don't think that the mom can or will do anything effective against her daughter. I think she knows she cannot. So it's just like, okay, well, you're in charge now. Let's like make friends. And that's what happens with a lot of families. Like it's actually more positive than a lot of families where the child moves away and may never speak to their parents again or whatever, but clearly they don't have that kind of relationship that necessitates that. It doesn't seem like it to me anyway. I think it's fair to look at it both ways, but to me, I definitely can see a pretty simple future where the mom's just like, I mean, I'll try and impart wisdom as I go, but there's nothing I can physically or magically do to change anything. All I can do is, be in her life and try and be a guiding voice, and that's all you can do. That's all any like a parent of adult kids can do.
Well, she is
Until they
resigned to
get
the
eaten.
seasons. Yeah, it's
Until
like
they get
this.
eaten, of course.
This
Till they
is
get
what's
eaten.
happening. It's always been coming. Spring eats winter. We know what's going to come. It is what it is, and
Yeah.
the mom is resigned to that. And even if she wanted to kill Izzy to stop her, there's no stopping her now.
Yeah,
It's
I
definitely
just
gonna be
don't
a
see
more
how
morally
the
ambiguous-
relationship would progress positively.
I wouldn't say it would progress super positively. It's just sort of acceptance of what's inevitable. Yeah,
I just don't think it's gonna like continue on. Like, are they gonna?
I mean,
It's
keep
not going to be
playing in
exactly the
van
same
and
as it
stuff?
was.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
think that
gonna
why
keep
not? Like,
rocking. You can't.
They're gonna
you
play
can't
Rocking
live
in the
stop.
shows.
People,
stop.
adult people go and visit their parents who they are at very much at odds with on so many issues all the time and have a decent time. They enjoy their Christmas gifts. They do the traditional things.
Yeah, but
that
they're
they
not
normally
play
do.
heavy metal
murdering
together.
people. They're not slaughtering population.
But like, what if they got like some people consider abortion?
There's
murder.
also
Some
there's
people
also
go
a
to
ton of
war and their
families
parents are
who
peaceniks. Like,
there's also tons of families who cut off people because they don't agree
yeah,
with
but
the
do
other
you get that
person's
impression from
lifestyle.
this relationship that you've seen on
By the
screen?
ending, kind of.
I don't.
My
Okay.
hope for them is that they can play live shows peacefully. They can eat
Tripping
whatever,
balls.
whoever, trip balls. I love the whole concept of like the power is in the blood and the more fear in the blood. Like that's a pretty
I like that,
badass.
too.
Like that's
That's
pretty
pretty
rock and
cool.
roll in and of itself. And I love that they just get super high. Like it's the magic is like, and that's I think I was talking about it on Slack about like the witch. Like historically, when people were like witches were flying, they were tripping balls. And I like that there's some of that
Hell
like
yeah.
historically woven in to what was happening. And I don't know. I thought that was really cool, a really metal way of going about like how you get your power, eating a live thing, eating a live
Well, of
like
course, here
grub,
come the demons.
a maggot, a fox, and then like, what if I eat a human? And she's like, then you'll know true power. And I was like, rock and roll, baby, let's go.
Damn, man.
Eat a human.
I'm gonna rip the fucking head off.
Have you guys ever eaten a worm in a shot or otherwise?
Fuck no.
No.
Too scared of
No,
bugs.
hell no. I do
Yeah.
not want any of that. I don't like those sorts of like, I don't know, like Fear Factory, prove your metal sort of shit that involves just gross shit that I don't want to do. I'm not gonna do those things. Like,
I would have walked away
Malort
from
is
as
that
far
whole
as it
house.
goes.
I'd be like, you guys are so mean. I'm not playing this game. I'm walking away.
Yeah.
Taking my ball and going home.
I think I would have said the same thing, honestly. Peace
Yeah,
out.
I never played that shit either. Where it's like, oh, you got to do this or whatever. It's like, fuck
Yeah,
you.
peer pressure does nothing to me. I don't think, like, at least when
Just
it
makes
comes to
me
like stuff
angrier.
I just don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I have to
Okay,
want to
actually,
do it
fuck
a
you
little
I
guys.
bit.
already think I'm better than you. You can't pressure me.
I'm cool enough without you guys. No, that might have been. Most of this is pretty believable to me. Like if you suspend your disbelief, you get into the witchcraft, you get into the whole Hellbender legacy, I'm in. The only thing that felt like a little bit funky to me was like the way that these teens interacted. Not necessarily Lulu and Zelda because they're sisters and I think they do have good chemistry, but these sort of like kids together, I'm like, do kids really talk this way? But one of them is homeschooled in the movie and both of them grew up in a very non-traditional family. So maybe this is the way they interact. And that's just kind of how they are. But it is those pool scenes were both funny and a little funky.
Part
That
of
might be
this-
my clunkiest moment, but And I say that with total love because I fucking love this movie.
Well, part of
Yeah.
this interactions was really reminding me of May, which we covered last year.
Oh my God,
Where
yes.
we're like, oh, it's some of it is kind of like cringy a little bit, or so awkward that you just like want to jump out of your fucking skin. I was feeling that, and like the thing that like resonated with me, I was like, oh, fucking May. That it reminded me of May.
I would
That's a good
Randy's
say-
call.
favorite.
What? Yeah, famously, I love jujubes.
Nobody does.
But yeah, I feel like I feel like there's definitely like some clunky, somewhat wooden back and forth, and I think it comes down mostly to the writing because we see what happens when they have like some good lines. It comes off really great, and then sometimes it's like it feels like just roughly ad-libbed and maybe one shot of 10 where they ad-libbed a certain way and they just were like, okay, this one's fine.
I think
It's
a
like
large
there's-
portion of the dialogue was just on the fly.
That makes so much
Improv.
sense.
Yeah.
There's like, I don't know, like Toby at one point she comes back, she's like, oh, I got she's I forget what what the daughter says, but she says something to her mom. She's like, yeah, but look, I got some cool shit. And then there's a big shit-eating grin all of a sudden. I was like, oh, that was a weird turn for her. Like, I don't know, like as much as they do like wonderful performances through so many of the like really impactful scenes, some of those feel offhanded to a fault a little bit, I would say.
It's unusual, it's not, it doesn't
It's
sound as
stilted.
naturalistic as we would expect.
Mhm.
I will say that I really like Lulu's appearance in this. So Zelda Adams is Izzy, she's the main character, and Lulu wasn't in it as much. She had some other things like to do. I don't know if it was school or what, but she I will say I am not, if someone was like, oh, I stole your barrettes, I wouldn't be like, actually fuck you. I would have been like, ah,
Yeah, that was so weird.
you go, girlfriend. Like, I wouldn't be as put off. I mean, she does try to choke her at one point in the woods, and that is, I would be like, yeah, don't ever fucking talk to me again. But when she goes to return her bathing suit and she's like, all right, Hellbender, you're pretty cool. And she's like, oh yeah, P.S. I took these barrettes. And she's like, actually,
My
fuck you.
barrettes.
Fuck off.
All
I've
was
been hunting
forgiven,
for
but you
those.
crossed
We
the
were
bridge
so
this
close.
time, motherfucker.
Yeah. My pink barrettes.
It's about time to land the plane. Do you guys have any other major points you want to touch on before we rate this thing?
Oh, we could talk about the music. I thought the music was cool and good.
Yeah.
Keeping the beat, keeping the beat.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
there's a song called Armageddon that's kind of like nearish the climax of the movie. That one's probably my favorite, but I like watching them do like their cool makeup and shit, and
Yeah.
it's very stylistic. It doesn't mean a whole lot to the plot. They could have gotten away with us saying like, oh, we play music together and not had as many, and it would have been fine, but I like seeing it. I think it's neat.
I think there's like something to the idea of it being a musical. I think that like it's maybe arguable because it's not a typical musical, if anything, but like it seems like what they're singing, and I could be wrong because I don't remember exactly the lyrics at this point, but it seems like it's about their current situation, like it's revealing about what they're talking about in the film. So there is that, but it also has this weird like Glee side reality sort of feel where like suddenly they're in the dark void where they play their music and it's a music video and then it jumps back to a movie. So it's a little disconnected, and that's maybe my big gripe with it. And it happened so many times and it felt disconnected every time until I realized what that was like, that this was like musical-esque, and I was like, oh, this is all part of what this movie is trying to do. There was something like that clicked for me about it, like probably towards the third act, where I was like, okay, this is not just like they're spending too much time doing this like it's Rock and Roll Nightmare all over again. They're actually like they're working towards something, and it's all, I don't know, it all integrates once you sort of get the broader spectrum of them doing that. At least it did for me. So
Yeah. Randy, why don't you kick us off out of 5? You're kind of rolling into it anyways. How do you
am I
feel?
okay?
How do you feel about Hellbender?
Yeah, I feel a little bit better now that I've talked it through a little bit, as often happens. Like I there was things about this movie that made it hard to categorize for me. It's hard to hold it up against like a typical film. It's hard to even hold it up against like schlocky films because it's really kind of like hitting this beautiful like midpoint between those ideas of like it's got like pretty professional look to it for being as shoestring as it was, and yet there's still like these hallmarks of like, I don't, not laziness, but like hallmarks of like, we got to get this done. Like this is like some of that those like lines and things that felt stilted, like things like that. There's still hallmarks of it being an amateur production, is I guess what I'm saying, even through as much professionality as they brought to the table. I was very, very impressed when I found out after the fact just how much of this was just labor of love, small crew, like 3 people in a room figuring it out for the most part. Like, and that adds like a substantial charm quotient that really like made me feel good about the movie. But talking through it a little bit more, it's really, I don't know, like as much as it has those amateur hallmarks, it's almost like the imperfections make it perfect in its own way. Yeah, I don't know. I think that having talked about it and heard some different interpretations, it's more interpretation than I thought was available for this story. So I appreciate that. And there's a lot of like subversion that goes on, like we talked about before. All the stuff we talked about, basically. I don't know that I have a whole lot of extra to add to it, but I am intrigued by this movie. I don't know that it's much of a rewatch for me, and I think it's a weird one to recommend because it just has such a particular feel. But I think that I don't know. I think I feel pretty positively about it, and I feel very little negativity towards it. So I think I'm going to give it a 3.5. I have a lot of heart for this, I think.
Good deal. 3.5 from Randeezy. Caitlin.
DIY or die, baby.
Out of 5. How do you feel?
I'm gonna go a little higher on this. I really have a soft spot for it, partly because the Addams family is so cool. Like they're so nice. They're very active on social media. Like they will interact with folks, and they just are such fans of the genre. And I like seeing that. You know, I this is the kind of movie that I would want to make. I would want to make something that was kind of DIY with other people who love the genre and who have the same sort of like shorthand and cadence that I do when it comes to the way I speak and the language that I speak, not just, verbally, but like the language I speak in terms of themes that I like. This has a lot of themes that resonate with stuff that I researched, like the monstrous menstruation, the coming of age, the monstrous motherhood, of sort of realizing that motherhood isn't going to look the way you thought it was going to look, both with your own mother and your child. It hits a lot of good spots for me. And I don't know, it's tight. It's 90 minutes. Knock it out, watch it, it's fun. And yeah, all the behind the scenes stuff of them being, a family and this being a COVID thing, it's just, I don't know, I have a lot of tenderness for it. I'm gonna go higher at a 4.
It's an inspirational movie in a lot of ways. I want to point that, like, just like as a filmmaking exercise, I gotta respect the fuck out of anybody who's just going out there and making it and doing it so much that they become fucking good at it. And that's clearly what's happened here, because I think there's 6 movies in at the point of this movie.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm one of those
remember.
people that like I in the past have suffered from like, what is it, the like perfectionism stagnation, where it's like, if it's not perfect, I don't want to do it, or like I don't want to release it. And it's like, just fucking make it. It's not going to be perfect, but you'll have something that you made and that you're mostly proud of. And that's how I feel about this. Like, is it perfect? No, but I'm really fucking proud of them, and I hope they're proud of themselves, because that was cool.
Perfect don't exist, baby.
True that. Juice, out of 5. How do you feel?
I'm going to go a little bit lower, but I will kind of echo Randy that the discussion bumped it up a little bit for me, because I really just hadn't considered, that kind of role reversal in like what we typically see in this oppressive mother type of trope. It's just kind of like the flip side of that, and that was kind of interesting. The positives I like about this, I like the music, just the music itself, not even necessarily how it works in the film or how it's portrayed in the film. Just, I thought the music was cool. I really liked it. In some way kind of reminded me of like the Scott Pilgrim music, which just like, really bass driven, really kind of dirty, grimy feeling, but popping fun. Yeah. So I don't know. I just liked it, and I want to listen to it now, on Spotify. Some of the negatives that we didn't get to really bring up is the story is pretty thin. There's really not much story going on, and there's a lot of shots which are beautiful, but of just wandering kind of through the wilderness. And one thing that's not necessarily a ding on this movie, but it's a part of the situation, I guess, is throughout this film, I kept just thinking about other films, and sometimes I just kept thinking of other films that I'd rather be watching, or I thought were better, that were actually filmed or done in a similar kind of way. One of the big ones that was popping up for me is the one that came out last year, You Won't Be Alone, which was also witch based, which was also isolation based and things like that. And I was just thinking like, man, when I'm like holding them side by side, that one looks like far, far, far superior. And it makes this one look a little more chintzy and
It looks like 2.5 hours and has Numi Rapace though. I mean, and
I'm
like
just, yeah, just,
I mean, but that's a 5-star movie. Like I agree with you. That movie.
yeah,
fucking
it's,
rules.
I
Yeah.
just couldn't, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, this is, it's almost like, oh yeah, this is cute, but then it's like, oh, this is, so when I'm comparing them side by side, it kind of highlights some of those flaws, I think. And it's, like I said, not necessarily the problem of this movie, it's just, but I couldn't get it out of my mind. I did so, but positives though, I'll echo that I thought the way they handled the witch lore was pretty cool. It felt like I could follow it. None of it I felt like I had to suspend like any kind of disbelief or anything. I was just like, yeah, this makes sense for the world that they've built. So I thought they did good in world bending. I like some of the shots that they were doing with the seasons and how they played with that. Some of the effects are chintzy and don't look great, which, I mean, to be fair to them, I know that they're doing this DIY style, so can't knock them too much, but at sometimes it does just feel kind of like that's not great. One of the biggest negatives for me, I kind of disagree. I thought a lot of the dialogue was awkward. Any dialogue that didn't involve the mom and the daughter, I wasn't really about it. I thought it was kind of bad. And even some spots of their dialogue was a little awkward. For the most part, really great, but everything else around that, whenever anybody else had to come into the film, I thought it dropped significantly lower. So overall, I think I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. And yeah, pretty solid. Yeah, pretty solid witch film. Bob, out of 5, what you going to give Hellbender? How was the drumming on here, Bob? Specifically critique the drumming.
It was very White Stripes, very kind of straight ahead, 4 on the floor kind of vibe. I love that the mother and daughter are on drums and bass, because that's like a very solid, that backbeat. Yeah, it's important, man. It's important. I did like the music though. I thought the music was pretty cool, and it like really fit the vibe, the tone of the movie. I thought it wasn't just like this family saying like, hey, we also made some music, let's just use it because we don't have to pay licensing fees. It actually like fit tonally. I didn't really love the scenes of them rocking out necessarily. Like I would have preferred them like use the music and have like a montage or something like that.
Even if they just intercut, right? Like that's what I was thinking. It's like just cut to some action while you're doing it, cut back and forth a little bit.
That would have been better, because it feels like I'm watching a movie and then all of a sudden somebody grabs the remote and turns on like MTV and I got to watch a music video all of a sudden. And it's a little jarring. But I do like the music. I think the music works really well. I love the DIY nature of it, which we've covered thoroughly. I think this is a fantastic like COVID time production. I love that it's just a family isolated in the woods. And I guess they shot the majority of it in the Catskills, New York, but they also like were living in an RV and just like hit the road and like kept making the movie while they're on the road, going wherever the hell they wanted to. And that's just fucking cool. I have a lot of respect for that. Them just like making this movie however the fuck they want, whenever they can. And for it to turn out as well as it did is like really impressive, actually. I think for the vast majority of the movie, the performances are solid. The dialogue didn't bother me that much. Every once in a while, there's maybe an awkward line, but I didn't like find most of it like to be weird or anything, and to consider that it was sort of like on the fly, just like improv. I think that's really impressive as well. I think the like lore that's built into this movie about the Hellbenders is pretty neat. How they describe getting that name, where they turn their back on heaven and bend down towards hell. It's just like kind of spooky and cool. I like that. I like the opening scene. It's like it really grabs your attention when you see that witch like blast off. It's like super intriguing and like kind of funny in a good way though, because you're just like, what the absolute fuck movie am I about to watch right now? Yeah, I think overall it's pretty damn enjoyable. The musical interludes are a little clunky to me. I think that's probably my biggest complaint, honestly. But I think this is a solid movie. Yeah, I'd give it a 3.5 as well. I'm gonna come in with a 3.5 here. I did a mini cast on the movie they released before this, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It's called The Deeper You Dig, and it's interesting to see like how much they've grown since that movie. I really liked The Deeper You Dig. I thought the story was super cool, but you can tell they've like really refined their talents in this movie. So if you want to watch The Deeper You Dig, I think it's streaming just about anywhere, and it's also Arrow put out a Blu-ray of it, which is where I watched it. Yeah, and they've got a new movie out already hitting festivals. So I can't remember the name of it.
I'll look it up, but it's Yellow something maybe, but it's like Circus meets Bonnie and Clyde meets something. I was like, all of that appeals to me, so I'm counting in.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
What's the genre? Because Joe Bob did a run through of their movies, and I assumed they would all be like low budget horror, but they're not. Like there's only a couple of horror.
The Deeper You Dig is very much a horror movie. It's a ghost story. The new one, I don't know because I haven't seen it, but it was playing at one of the festivals we were covering. I was trying to get a screener of it, but
that's right.
And she also that's Zelda driven. So the daughter, the girl who played the daughter, Izzy here. This new movie is her, like it's her project, which is I don't know. It makes me it makes me feel warm. I don't know. I'm like, yeah.
She's usurped her mother. Oh God.
Do they mostly make is it all horror films so far? And we're not sure.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like they've made dramas, they've made I forget what else, but like crime thriller type deals. Like so that's why I'm curious, because I would love for it to be horror, but that's because that's just my favorite. But
my favorite. With my 3.5, our aggregate score is going to be a 3.5 for Hellbender. Our boy Brandon chose this movie for us to review tonight. He did send in a voicemail with his own thoughts. Let's go ahead and hear what Brandon has to say about Hellbender.
Hey, Bob, quick cut here. I just want to make sure, is the first one Brandon, or is it the second?
I think he starts off by saying
the more recent voicemail is Brandon.
The more recent one is Brandon. Okay, gotcha. All right, and here we go.
What up, gang? It's Brandon. Just calling in, saying thanks for covering Hellbender this week. I thought I was introduced to this movie about a year ago by Caitlin from Plug It Up podcast, and I absolutely loved it, so I figured I would pass that on. I really like the whole vibe of this movie. Just like the shots are really good, the cinematography, the soundtrack. I love like the music in this movie, and like when it's cut to just like basically a music video, I vibe with that. It's pretty cool. The witchcraft in this movie I think is really cool. It's very like gritty, and I like that. Like it's very just like dirty. It's like gross. I think that's awesome. So yeah, I just really like this movie. Cool that it's made by like a family, that I like. The mom and the daughter have such a good vibe, and that's because they're a mom and daughter. It's awesome. I think this movie's badass. So yeah, it's a 5 out of 5 for me. I don't see much wrong with this movie. So thanks for covering it. Have a good one. #Randy for Randyzy. Peace.
Whoa.
Wowie wow.
Somebody just coined a hashtag. Those are rare.
Hard to come
Thanks
by.
for that, Brandon.
I love Brandon so much. What a man of taste. Just love him.
Thanks,
Certainly.
Brandon. Yeah, thanks for picking a flick for us to watch.
Yeah.
And finding a guest for us to invite.
Hey-o.
Really set us up here. What a tasty man. Tasty. Cool. Thanks for picking this week's flick, Brandon. Let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment, see what the critics and users think about Hellbender.
Certified.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment in which I'm going to have these folks guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive score is for our favorite film, Hellbender. We're going to go with the critics to start and then move on to the users after. And we're going to start with our esteemed guest on our critics score. There are 66 total reviews in our critics category. What percentage of those, Caitlin, do you suppose are positive?
That's tough. So this did have a good festival run. And 66 reviews.
66 reviews.
Okay. I think they're gonna like this and appreciate the craft, or at least like the spirit, the nature, the DIY nature. I'll go 80. I'll do the 86.
86.
Project?
The boys.
The boys.
Juice, you're already chiming in. Why don't you go next?
I'll take the other straight chillin' spash with the 69 dudes, please.
The 69 gentlemen. Bob, how about you?
We take all the special numbers. Sorry.
I can't get
No
the boys or the dudes. What am I gonna do?
Sorry, buddy.
I'm gonna get crazy and take a
No.
90.
90
Whoa.
percentile. Damn, Bob. Well, our winner today is only 7 points away from glory. Not that close, but it's a pretty wide range here. I'm going to go ahead and tell Bob congratulations
Damn
for
it,
his
Bob.
97% is the
Whoa!
Damn.
97%.
Damn. That is quite
Shout
high.
out Brandon. Brandon, you could be an RT critic.
You sure could. And apparently so could we, which is shocking and horrifying.
Godspeed.
I'm so happy to hear that though. 97. That's awesome. Good for
Wow.
that.
That's crazy. It's certified fresh in the highest levels. It's the upper echelon. Let's move on to our audience score. There were over 250 ratings, so not a huge portion size here, but 250 plus. We'll go in reverse order. Bob, why don't you tell me what you think those 250 plus ratings net to?
Let me go a little lower because that's pretty high, man. I'll take an 82, please.
82. All right. Juice, how about you?
I think it'll be lower. I mean, it's gotta be lower than 97. So yeah, 82 sounds good. I'll take 75.
75. All right. And Caitlin, round us out. Where do you think it lands?
Not 97. That's wild. I just want to take all the fun numbers. I'll do 86 for my first, and I'll do 69 boys for this.
Heyo.
Hey, all right.
Whoa.
69 gentlemen for you as well. Let me do a quick brain math here. Okay, 14 points from Glory here.
Uh-oh.
14. Quite a gap. But still, Caitlin's going to take this one. It's at 55%.
Oh.
Well,
Damn.
Yeah.
well, happy that I won. Not happy for the large disparity, but damn.
Yeah.
Because I imagine people that have seen this saw it on like Shudder, so you'd think that they'd
Yeah.
be genre fans
Yeah.
themselves, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but man, that is one of the wider gaps I can remember seeing on Rotten Tomatoes, our Rotten Tomatoes segment. It's quite a
I feel like we've had
Quite a
few
difference
this
there.
year
Please
for
stop
some
saying wide
reason.
gap.
I know.
Rand, that's
Wide
Randy's
gap.
catchphrase today.
the widest gap.
Something's
Look.
on Randy's
You
mind.
could throw so many hot dogs down that gap.
What
I enjoy going to the
why?
weenie roast very much.
All
Hell
right.
yeah.
We're gonna read the critics' consensus.
Plug it up, Randy. Jeez.
Well done. Got us.
Plug
Bob.
it up with the dump truck, apparently, Randy.
Back
it
her
up.
in. Critics' consensus reads as follows: Hellbender stirs a boiling cauldron of adolescent angst, serving up a coming-of-age story with dark horror overtones. Sure, sounds about right.
No, one
Um,
thing, one positive that I didn't mention that I just sparked in my mind, and since I was the harshest, I would like to give it a little more praise, is the shots of the food. The plates,
Oh,
it
yeah.
almost had that,
Food.
the bear,
The menu
or,
look,
the menu type
Yeah,
of look
yeah.
or whatever,
Pine
but it was
cones.
just pine cones
Singular
and dry
twigs.
ass twigs.
When I
and
first saw that, I
shit.
was like, "Am I stoned? What am I seeing here? What are they eating?"
Is that
No,
Are
they
they
were
stoned?
yeah.
when
Are
she's
we
eating like the
stoned?
finger and then it cuts back and it's just like a twig and she's like,
Yeah.
uh
And now for the anger portion of the evening, I'm going to read some negative reviews because sometimes they're funny and sometimes they make us belligerent and therefore
Haters.
funny. Here we go. Let's see what the haters have to say on the subject. This family-made affair pummels you with pretentious symbolism and irrelevant horrific imagery to create a film that screams, "We are a family that does not need your approval." Though it is utterly uncompromising in this case, a little compromise would have been a great help. For instance, having a trace of story instead of just being glorified music video for the family band might have made something other than the longest hour and 20 minutes of my life. Wow.
Boo-hoo, your 80-something minute movie. Boo-hoo.
Man,
I mean,
nothing
there's
says
like touches of maybe some true, like the story that I kind of mentioned on, but I feel like the review is more pretentious than he's making.
Oh, big
the
time,
movie
yeah.
out to be
Absolutely.
pretentious.
Jerk off, fuck you. Like, yeah, like
Fuck you.
fuck you.
You
Fuck
fucking
off.
ass.
he really goes after them for not needing his approval, and that really just stuck in his dick.
Why don't you want my
approval?
You think you're better than me?
I am a man and a critic, and I deserve your respect.
Mine.
Yeah. Fuck you. Anyway. That was a user too, so I'm kind of going hard on just random people.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, one more negative review. This is from a critic, and I have not read it yet. Piling on flashy visual gambits and gratuitous musical showcases. Yes, the Adamses have a band too, creating a too busy, self-congratulatory whole that lacks narrative momentum and suspense. Self-congratulatory sticks out as being horseshit, doesn't it?
Too busy?
Too busy
It's
is
not-
not what I.
Yeah, not too
No.
busy.
Uh,
But I mean, it seems everyone's kind of critiquing the band aspect, which I think we all kind of touched
Fair enough.
on, and
Yeah.
the narrative aspect, which I kind of brought forth.
Yeah, but like too busy is not what I would
not too
characterize
busy.
as
No,
narrative.
that
as
is
at
that
all.
is not correct. Yeah.
That is man. There's just
this
a couple
movie
of
has
weird
two
choices.
pool scenes.
What the fuck?
Too busy.
How am I supposed to keep this straight?
I can't keep all these characters straight. There's 4.
They go swimming again.
Damn.
All right, that's our Rotten Tomatoes segment. Bob, how's that trivia looking?
Hey, we covered most of it in our review. So let's just go and skip it over. We're running a little bit long. Let's talk Cooter of the Week.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the week.
Juice, what is a cooter and why do we hunt them?
Well, maybe old Gint Brisket can go on tour with the Adams Family, or if they want to call in and remix our song, we'll use it.
Are
as
they
an
ready
op,
to
you
try
know, if
Pud
they
Rock
wanna-
on for themselves? Is
That would be,
Hellbender ready to take the Pud Rock challenge?
If the
That'd be
Adams
amazing.
Family would like to, do the Cooter bump for us, that'd be great. But Cooter is a character type and a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter, but we want the cooter with the most points. The 5 points of cooterdom are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall looking attire, and overall patheticness. We got a cooter and Hellbender. There's not a lot of characters, so
Yeah, it's pretty
It's gonna be
thin picking.
tough.
yeah.
Maybe the mom, I guess, would be the closest.
She's the most likely
Manipulation.
candidate. Yes,
Manipulation
that
we've
one for
got.
sure.
Yeah.
like, Not a lot of sexual deviance in this in general.
by any
no.
No.
They dress normally considering.
Yeah.
Smug
Yeah.
arrogance.
Even
for the
their- even their-
mom?
I don't know.
She seems kind of humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go arrogant for mom.
Especially too because her whole thing is like, let's not flash our power around. Let's just use it for
Yeah.
our own kind of
She's-
personal enjoyment. I don't.
She
know.
reminds
Let's
me
get
of-
high.
Yeah.
Let's
She's
get
got-
stoned, baby.
She's got the same energy of like the pigeon woman from Home Alone 2 in the park. She's
Oh.
like
Okay.
I don't know why.
That's man. That's
Just
such
like
a
a very
pull.
sweet, humble woman. I don't like that's the same.
I,
kinda-
This movie needed a Tim Curry to fill the cooter role. You know,
Yeah.
really needed.
I don't like the pool homeowner guy because he's like, I mean, to be fair, people broke into his property,
Yeah.
but he's kind of a dick.
What an asshole!
He-
Let
ass.
these kids shit in your pool.
Why are you kids in my pool? Fuck this guy. You're not
You know
using
what?
it.
That
You can't like
drum set is
own
an
property,
AMT.
man.
Is Amber,
Amber?
the cooter?
Yeah, I was about to say maybe Amber.
She's like, oh, you have an STD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Amber is the other one. Like, I don't know.
She's got an
I don't know
air
if we
of
get enough to
arrogance.
know about her. A little
Yeah, we
arrogant.
don't get a little bit of arrogance and maybe like some manipulation with the worm situation, but it's more the guy who's kind of pushing that.
Hatred.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This
Scooter
movie might be
Fruit.
too thin. Yeah, it might
Wow.
be too thin on the
There's
characters.
not enough in
Free.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cooter free.
I think it's cooter
since
free.
2023.
That's
All
the way to
right.
be.
Got lucky this time, Adams family.
Bring the cooters next time, okay?
Coot
Maybe
it
they
up.
do.
I
Maybe
want
they
to
do.
see a cooter by Adams's.
Let's do a real quick round of what we've been watching this week.
I got 20 things.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
That's a lot of things. Caitlin, what you been watching?
I watched The Pope's Exorcist finally because it's now on
The
Netflix.
Poop's Exorcist. Huh?
Love it.
I thought I liked it more than I thought I would. Russell Crowe was having a good old time. I feel like I don't know if he knew Italian before this, but I feel like he was like, if you pay me to learn Italian, I will go so hard on this role and I will just chew it up. He was great.
baby.
I don't know that all the acting was great, but I liked it more than I thought I would.
The Russell Crowe
I-
show. Yeah. Which
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
He seemed like he was having a great time, and I'm just happy for him.
yeah.
Did the Pope get swole?
The Pope
From all the
is
exercising?
jacked. He's yoked.
Damn.
I like flew through Letterkenny. I've been really enjoying Letterkenny, and now I am on to Shoresy. So that's mostly what I've been watching. I think. Be watching Baby Ruby tomorrow, so prep for my
Oh.
episode with Soju. So
Ruby. Yeah, I haven't rewatched it yet either, so not on this week's list. Yeah.
Sweet. Ray and Deezy, what you been watching?
I'll try and be brief. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, very, very good game.
What?
They
I didn't
cloned
even know
Tyrone.
You
Very-
had that.
I know. Did you know that I am a fan? They cloned Tyrone. I really like this movie. I don't know that I even really had it on my radar before it was heavily recommended, like from all sides, and I was glad it was. It's basically like somewhere between Sorry to Bother You and They Live. It's fucking great. Righteous Gemstones. I've finally got back into the pool on that one. We're starting season 2 very soon. I'm excited to get more of that. Rewatch The Cable Guy. Fucking great movie. Great movie.
We need
Nobody
to cover that.
can
on
tell me
this
different.
cast.
I
I'm
would
down.
love to.
I'm down.
You picks are coming
Also,
up. Maybe some.
maybe I'll become a patron.
Randy's gonna get it.
that's the way.
Yep. Just snake eating its tail.
No, it was Beck. It was Beck. I mean, Rob's done with Alice. Alice got
That's
it.
true.
Look, Alice got it.
I don't control my spouse like some people. So, also have been watching How To with John Wilson. I've mentioned that before, but we've kind of fell off, and we're like midway through season 2. That show is very, very fucking funny. It's like Joe Pera, but more neutral position on everything. It's great. I recommend it. It's very weird, but man, it goes places. That shit goes places so easily. Also watched a short true crime sort of deal called Telemarketers on HBO. And it is pretty fucked up. It's not like a murdery sort of thing. It is about telemarketing. It's about big time scammers and things like that. Like specifically this one group and how they're tied in with police unions and the rampant issues therein. I don't want to go too much deeper than that, but it's very good. It's very interesting. Also watched Barbarian Sound Studio, which I had not seen before, with what's his name? Toby Jones. Very strange movie. It took me a while to get into it, but once I was sort of like really appreciating like the camera work and the like, certainly the audio in that is like star. I was pretty into it by the end of things. It's a very weird movie that kind of ends. It's one of those, but I enjoyed it overall. It just took me a while to get to that point. And then I watched a little movie that I know you guys have never seen, but I, think that you would both really enjoy, especially you, Bob. It's called The Lodge. And it features Alicia Silverstone and the kid from It. It's a damn good movie. And Bob, it's just up your alley. It's got that like Macaulay Culkin Home Alone sort of thing going on. It's great. I know you love that.
Really smart.
God.
I have no problem believing that a child can rig up some dangerous contraptions and things, right?
I
Second
gotta
Home
watch it.
Alone reference of the evening.
Gotta watch it.
The ding dang dong. That's it for me.
That's it, Randy. Cool. Juice, what you been watching?
Watched a new film from this year called Rye Lane. It's kind of like a light romantic kind of film, similar in the vein of Before Sunrise, but a lot lighter than that. Fun. It's like it's set in London, and these two British young people are coming off some heavy breakups. They meet at this kind of their friend's art gallery show, and just kind of go for a walk through the town and kind of are comforting each other, getting to know each other for the first time, and kind of fall for each other a little bit. It was fun. It was a good movie.
I decided that I'm lonely.
I'm lonely. So yeah, check that out. If you're looking for something lighter and new. The Beach, had to do it. September 1st, kicked it off right. So good. Just it never gets old. It's wonderful. I watched 2 of the Buffy Halloween special episodes from season 2 and season 4. They're a lot of fun, like concept wise. The first one is where somebody casts a spell and people turn into the costumes that they're wearing and wreak havoc. That one's fun. And then there's the second one is they go to this frat Halloween party where they turn the house into a haunted house, but then everything comes to life or whatever. Somebody another spells cast and thing comes to life. It's a lot of fun.
Fucking spells.
Am I right?
Can't trust them.
Watch Remember the Titans because football season is starting. First game is
How strong?
Thursday. Yeah. So yeah, it was very good. And I hadn't watched that in a while, but I really
that's one of those movies I've seen like a shocking number of times in my life. Probably like over 20 times in my life.
Me
But
too.
how many of it was like sick day at school where the teacher's like, I can't fucking deal with you guys?
No, I think it was just like it was on cable a lot, and whenever it was on, it's one of those must watch when it's on cable. It's just an easy let it ride movie.
Once you like start a scene, you're just gonna sit down and finish it out. It's gonna catch you.
Oh, it's so good.
And it's got great fall vibes. So I watched it, I think September 2nd. So great. Watched Frankenstein 1931 for the first time. Never seen it. Wanted to check that one off the list.
Oh, sure.
And yeah, holds up really well, especially a lot of like the set design and building of atmosphere and stuff like that. I was pretty impressed. It's almost 100 years old. It's just nuts. Just last night, yesterday, man, I watched the Beetlemang, our boy Beetlejuice. So good. And it's still one of my favorite Straight Chillin' episodes, but enjoyed revisiting old Beetlemang. And like I said, I watched The Jacket for the first time, which was the movie that G Baby picked and we covered and will be coming out next Monday. And that is all I've been watching. Some good stuff. Bob, what you been watching?
Round us out.
Oh, hey. I have not been watching a whole heck of a lot. I watched that Telemarketers docu-series on HBO as well, Randy. It's pretty interesting. It was produced by, or at least picked up by the Rough House Pictures guys, Danny McBride's company. I guess they're getting into the documentary game. But it's interesting that like this guy just like picked up a camera. He was working at this company. He thought some shit was fucked up, started filming stuff and just like kept filming stuff. And now there's like documentary that you can watch from like the early 2000s, and he like dropped out of high school to start working at this telemarketing company and like smelled the shit. It's interesting. I recommend checking it out. The only other thing I want to mention here is a movie G Baby recommended. I just like had a random evening, wanted to watch something I had not seen before, and he recommended a movie called Brigsby Bear, and I think I found it on Hulu. I'm pretty sure it was Hulu. This from 2017, and it's like a comedy drama, and it's got a similar kind of like DIY kind of spirit to it that Hellbender has. It definitely had more of a budget behind it. But it's basically about this guy who's like, he's probably late 20s, maybe early 30s, and he is living in sort of speaking of biodome, kind of like a bubble situation. His parents are living there with him, and he can't go outside unless he's wearing a suit because XYZ, he's gonna die or whatever. He can't breathe the air. And there's this show called Brigsby Bear. There's a new episode every week, and he's like obsessed with the show. He loves the show. It's like the only thing on. And it's about like this like person in a giant bear costume walking around. He's got friends and they do crazy shit. He's obsessed with this television show, and then he finds out like the world is not really what his parents have told him, and like it takes a pretty hard turn. And there's a lot of like heart, and it's just a lot of like artistic drive in this movie that I really vibe with pretty hard. If you want something that's like kind of heartfelt, like kind of wholesome, I'd recommend this. I really enjoyed it. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. But Brigsby Bear is the name of that movie. I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu. Check it out.
All right.
Nice.
That's
I've
what
never
I've
heard
been
of that
watching.
movie. Yeah.
Me either.
See, maybe
Me
it's
either.
good with those deep cuts, man.
Yeah. Random shit you've never heard of, and you watch it, you're like, oh fuck, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Mhm.
Bring
Thanks,
them on more,
G-Berry.
baby. Bring
Go
'em on.
baby. Cool. Let's go ahead and get into our last segment of the show, which is, of course, our Hotline Screams.
Hotline Scream.
If you are listening and would like to call in and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got one voicemail this week. We're going to hear from our friend Heidi. Let's hear what she's got to say.
Hey crew, what's up? It's Heidi calling, or Heidi Bird, calling you guys back. I wanted to talk to y'all about your prompt of spooky season coming up. But first, I guess I wanted to call because right now I'm at the airport waiting, the Austin airport, waiting for my sister to get here. It's very late, and we're heading out to a bachelorette party. And it sounds like, Bob, you just were here doing the same thing. Was it your own? If so, congratulations. And, you know, anyone that accepts a ring from Straight Chilling Crew's gotta be one lucky biatch. So, congrats, man. If it was your bachelor party. We are not staying in Austin. We're actually going to nearby Fredericksburg, Texas, and it's wine country, so that's where we'll be bachelorette partying it up over there. So anyway, well, then I was going to talk to y'all about spooky season, and y'all had asked, what are you doing to get ready for it? What are you watching? And I haven't not watched anything yet, but I am on a costume hunt because I'm already a big thrifter, and I know I could go and order something on Amazon, but I don't do that. So anyway, I have already found a skirt, so I want to go as Pearl this year, and I'm hoping to find, you know, some pieces for that red dress look she wears. And I already found this wild skirt at the thrift store, and so yeah, it's off to a good start. And then bonus, if I find a toddler gator costume for my 2-year-old son to wear, and if I find some gray silky pajamas, I can dress my husband up as Beau is Afraid. So yeah, I'm excited for spooky season, and hopefully I'll get to watch some movies too. I've yet to really watch some during the week now that my kids started school. So anyway, just seeing what you guys are doing for spooky season since it's really early now, almost September. And yeah, I guess if there's any gateway horror, I'll be keeping an ear out because my boy's 5, my older one, and you know, he likes Scooby-Doo, and I'm trying to find stuff that he can watch and is still age appropriate for him. So anyway, yeah, just seeing how y'all are getting ready for the beginning of spooky season, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Heidi Berg.
You ever like hear yourself when she was like, bachelorette party, Pearl, thrifting, loves a straight chilling boy. I was like, wow, is it me?
Yeah.
Is it me?
Did I call this
Did
week?
I call? Heidi, solidarity, friend. Same.
Yeah, that Pearl costume is a great idea. I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And also, so is the Bo is Afraid idea. That's extremely simple.
That
if
is
you can find
with
the
that, just
equipment.
get those silk pajamas.
Silk
You
Oh,
have to
jammies.
enlarge your
That's a
testicles,
comfortable
though.
one too.
Oh yeah, check.
You're gonna need you're gonna need some accoutrement for that, certainly.
I love the dressing up her kid as the little alligator.
Yeah, the kid is the gator is a great idea. A great accompaniment for Pearl. Yeah, I don't know. Like my Halloween plans are still undecided right now, but I'm getting costuming together. Not sure what it's gonna be, but I think I'll reveal it on Chilloween. I don't think I'm doing it until then.
Nice. When are you guys gonna start decorating?
I'm dying to decorate.
I haven't
I live with
decorated
someone
yet.
who wants to steal my fun and not give it to me until a certain date that is undetermined.
Withholding,
So, no.
eh?
Very withholding. Yeah, the power dynamic. I need to switch the power dynamic like the Addams family.
I think it's fine.
Tell me more about it, actually.
I've been just sending texts to Beck like every time I see something Halloween. It's like, see, there's more. See,
it's okay.
See
It's
people
okay.
having fun.
See, babe.
Do you
This is what you
remember
call Halloween
fun?
fun? I know it's 1,000 degrees outside, but that's no excuse.
So gross. I've never not decorated for spooky season. I mean, like that's just generally the aesthetic of my apartment. Andy, you've seen my apartment. It is spooky.
Yeah, you've got the
Brandy,
Ouija
you've
wall and
seen
everything. You got it
every
all.
aspect of the apartment.
Easy,
Easy.
easy. I was just advocating for Beck to be in charge of everything.
No,
I think we're gonna start decorating this weekend because after this weekend, it's just chaos, just like nonstop chaos.
Yeah, you don't have
Bob,
anything going
you're
on,
busy?
Bob.
What?
Nothing is
Not a thing.
Yeah, I'm working on my costume too. I'm making it, but yeah, I'll probably not disclose exactly what it is either just yet. You got a costume picked out, Kayla?
Not yet. I applied to do a talk at a horror convention that's happening that weekend here in Richmond, the weekend of Chilloween. So I don't know. I hope to get that. That'll be like my big plan. I'll throw together a trivia for Richmond here, and I don't know. I've been on such a Letterkenny kick that I'm like, I want to go. I'm like, babe, what if we did a couple's costume as Stuart and Rolled? It's like no one wants that but me, but I'm into it. So.
I always find myself trying to do characters that are like not remotely spooky in any conceivable way, but wear comfortable clothes.
There you go.
I really want to be a Guillermo from what we do in the shadows, because I was like, oh, but I would get too hot in that sweater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't want to be wearing masks. I don't want to be taking off my
No.
glasses.
I had 3 costumes last year, one of which was Lizzie Borden, and I had like blood all over me, and I was like, never again. This is too much. Sticky.
Hell yeah. I think the last thing she mentioned was like a gateway horror, like stuff maybe she could show our kids. You guys have any recommendations for that?
I mean, it's a good question. I would say Beetlejuice, but I think she said he was 5. That might be too young for
5.
Definitely Over the Garden Wall if you haven't
Garden Wall.
shown them that yet.
Casper, am I right?
Yeah, you could do that.
Paranorman is a good one.
Frank and
Coraline.
Weenie, the V.
Really, any of those.
Coraline's fantastic. Yeah.
Return to Oz if you want a traumatized child.
Yeah. The house with a clock on its walls or in its
Hocus
walls,
Pocus.
whatever it is. Hocus
Pocus. Yeah.
5. Ghostbusters.
5 is pretty young. Ghostbusters might be a little like
E.T. maybe. E.T. gets kind of spooky, but
E.T. is scary.
Yeah.
E.T. is scary.
Yeah. I don't know. There's quite a few options out there for sure.
American Psycho.
Yeah, that's the one. I think Los Exorcist. That's the one. You want that?
The Spanish remake
Mhm.
of The
Oh,
Exorcist.
Yes, of course.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm looking through our list of watches, and we just don't have a lot of kid-friendly
Scooby Doo.
fare.
Throw some Scooby Doo.
Scooby Doo is great.
Come
Yeah.
on.
She didn't say
Yeah.
like Scooby.
She said.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
She said.
Sorry, I missed
She
that
said he
part.
watches that already. Yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
there's some movies, some spooky, full-length Scooby-Doo movies you could throw on too if he's just
Yeah.
watching the show.
Yeah. Classic.
Good shit.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's a bit of a spread for you. Do you guys have any prompts you want to throw out for next week?
Oh boy.
Mm.
No.
I don't know. What's the movie? What's the movie next week?
Well, we're actually talking about our final
Is it?
Patreon pick of the third quarter, and it is going to be chosen by Logan. The movie is
Raw. Finally.
Man.
I know.
Finally.
Thanks.
Fuck, I
Shouts
love
outs
Raw.
to Logan.
Yeah.
Any other favorite cannibalism movies? Cannibalism is like my
Yeah.
favorite subgenre. I love
your-
Bones and All.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love Bones and All, Raw. Oof, love a cannibalism
Raw.
moment.
Yeah.
Yellow
People eating
Jackets.
people.
Movies. I
Hell
can't.
yeah.
Oh,
There's
Have
something
you ever-
inherently erotic about it, Bob.
erotic. Oh.
There is.
People-
I have a thesis. Listen to my podcast.
I mean, human flesh in your mouth. I understand.
Yeah. I mean, we all
Boners
like a
and
little
all,
extra
we
meat
get
in our
it.
mouth.
Bob, don't
we?
disrespect that man's art.
We all like.
That man's art. Yeah. You ever eaten anything raw? Like weird, like
Tartar.
like a frog leg or a
Well, here
snake
it's-
heart, or like.
Well-
They're eating a raw frog leg. What are we, ghouls? What is this?
Dude,
I mean-
people eat crazy shit.
I've had the octopus, and also too, it's pretty common here to have raw beef is very common here in
Yeah.
Korea
Yeah.
too, with the raw egg on it too. So
Yeah.
it's raw shit in Korea.
Like the
There's a new
salmonella
place in the
stash.
Yeah.
neighborhood here. It's like a happy hour place that has happy hour tartar, which like sounds dangerous, but
Those are two
We
tastes that
cheat
do not
raw
need to be
meat.
together.
Yeah.
the
that's
VJ
like-
from a moving truck. What could go wrong?
That's like gas station egg salad.
Gas station sushi. Let's go.
How quickly do you want to shit your pants? Exactly.
Oof.
Yeah, call in
I
if
like
you,
to
if you
get-
ever eaten anything raw or weird, or you ever eaten any worms? You know,
Call,
like
yeah, call
speaking
in
of
about like
Hellbender.
your weirdest eating experience. Maybe
the
I've had some
weirdest thing you've ever
horse. You guys ever eaten horse? Some
You ever
of that?
drink
Great
human
horse.
blood? Call in and let us know.
Have you seen a dark song? I like
Confess.
when he has her.
Yeah.
I made my
Yeah.
boyfriend
Yeah.
watch that last week. I should have said that on.
Hell yeah.
What does she
That
eat
movie
in that? I
rules.
forgot.
He has her drink a glass of blood and he's like
Oh,
screaming
okay.
at her. Oh,
Gotcha.
that movie's so good.
That movie's
Yum yum.
intense. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good movie.
Yeah, it is. Cool. Yeah, call in
Yeah.
904-638-3231. We'll be back next week with a review of Raw from 2016. Definitely slam your eyeballs into that. Caitlin, big thanks for sitting in with us yet again. Always a pleasure having you on.
Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. You want to remind everybody where they can find your show?
Yeah, you can find Plug It Up wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to talk twi, Skin of a Killer.
Talking
Oh.
twice.
Talk
Wow.
twi.
Holy
Caitlin,
shit.
you might be the reigning champion this year so far. I feel like you've been on quite a bit.
I'm touched.
sure.
Y'all are my rating champions because I had you all on individually
Oh yeah.
and together at Plug It Up.
Hell yeah.
It's been a collaborative year,
code.
boys.
Cheat
We need to
code.
get your duplicate Heidi in on the show next. Let's go.
Cool. We're gonna be back next week with a brand new show, obviously. And until next time, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
I'm gonna rip the fucking head off.